When I came in my sophomore year, and I learned that from First Sergeant, I was able to communicate with more people, network more, you get to learn new things, and it's just really interesting learning about people from different walks of life. Because you stunt yourself not talking to other people. You stunt yourself not being able to communicate with other people. Because if we weren't meant to communicate with other people, then we'd all be speaking a different language within, our communities. So at the end of the day, I think that it's just one of the biggest things that improved was my communication. Another thing that improved, just being self-aware, which I think is really big. Because in order to lead a group of people, you have to know, okay, what are my strengths and weaknesses? So that I can make my strengths stronger and my weaknesses strengths. So I just feel that that's very important, and that's one thing that JROTC, or two things, JROTC has really built on me.
Being a battalion commander, a lot of the students look up to you. How do you handle that, knowing that you have people watching you all the time, watching your every move, wanting to see you do something negative, and you know what I'm saying, because of your position, of who you are?
Well, I definitely have to keep my shoes tied, make sure I don't trip. Like I don't do the wrong things while they're watching me. I have to make sure that I'm paying attention to myself, and that will go back to being self-aware, knowing who I am and who I'm not. And at the end of the day, I think that I do that pretty well. I was told one time, because we work at the stadium, and I was told, hey, Blackwell, I really look up to you. And you kind of think, like, okay, I'm in this position. Of course, people are looking at me. But when you hear it, it's like, wow, I really am making an impact. Like, to hear you say that to me, I'm like a big sister to you. I'm doing things that you would want to do when you get older. So I definitely do take it in consideration. And, just stay in that position where I'm like, okay, people are looking at me no matter where I go, inside or outside of JROTC. So I definitely do take that into consideration.
First Sergeant, I know being that they are in junior ROTC, you may not think they do a lot of activities, but tell the audience a little bit about some of the activities that these cadets are able to do.
Wow. Let's see, where do I start? Okay, we take trips to yearly. We take trips to Charleston, South Carolina. Okay. Service learning, and service learning is we research the place that we take the cadets, the historical points, the educational points. Then the cadets come back. They do a presentation to the middle school kids about what they learned and how, and from what they learned and how what they learned can have an impact on those young kids that will be moving from the middle school over to the high school. So we do Charleston. We also do Atlanta. Okay. We take the kids to Atlanta. We visit the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial. We do a service learning there. We also do a service learning in Washington, D.C. And she can speak a little bit about that because she attended, about 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, the cadets visited Washington, D.C. on a service learning trip. We also, our drill team, we have a really great drill team. We take our kids to Daytona, Florida for the Army Nationals, where we compete against other drill teams across the world. So we do that yearly. Just on yesterday, I took 10 cadets to the Golden Corral to support the veterans. And I was very excited about that, to see the cadets cleaning the tables and help sitting the cadets. So the kids are exposed to a lot of positive, trips to expose them so that they can continue the dream. So yeah. So
are they able to go to any training, like the trainings that you attended while you were in the military? Like the going to Fort Jackson,
yes,
the land navigation and stuff like that. Do they get
yes. We have yearly, we take our top cadets to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, to JCLC. But I'm gonna let my battalion commander talk a little bit about JCLC.
So what we do at JCLC is down in Fort Jackson, like he said, annually, usually right after school gets out. and we're down there for a whole week. So you get like a one good day, you know, you get to chill with your mom, dad, family, and then you go ahead and, I like to say, you ship out. You go to Fort Jackson, and that's when it starts. We stay there day and night. They keep us in the barracks. We eat in the mess hall. It's just like being a real soldier, except, you know, you're a little soldier. Right. So, you know, they take us through PT on Friday, which is your physical training. We also do land navigation, map reading. One day we had a fun day where we just went bowling, which is what one of the basic trainees that I know that graduated from West Charlotte, they get to go bowling when they have free time. We also do things like leadership education. So while we're, like, for instance, when we went my first year, we got to go to a shooting range and shoot M16s, but they were gutted out, not your real, you know, and on a simulation with the screens. And while we were waiting for them to get everything set up, the colonel's like, hey, well, you guys can come out here and tell us about one of the leadership lessons that you guys learned back at home at your JROTC units. And people talked about your interpersonal skills. They talked about communicating skills, you know, things like a whole bunch of stuff that some people might not even have learned, but wow, we're here at JCLC and we just happen to get to learn it if we weren't able to learn it in class. And we also get to do the M16 simulation at the same time. And me personally, I love shooting, so that was just really exciting to do. You get to meet a whole bunch of other people at other schools, and the crazy thing about it is you're like, wow, these kids are all positive, there's nothing negative going on, like, we're all here for one reason. And when you find that group of people that are like, hey, we just need to do this and get it done, it's really cool, because then that's when competition comes in. Because everybody's like, oh, everybody, it's friendly competition. We all want to be good leaders, but it's good to see that people are actually fighting to do what's right instead of doing what's wrong. And then we also have like the Shelton Challenge that I attended last summer, and there we just learned that you basically learn how to, it's more so of a, I want to say, civilian environment, because we went over to, was it UNC? The college, UNC Charlotte, and we stay there for a good week. And they just teach us basically how to challenge the process. You know, you're working with a lot of, in my group we had all females, which they thought it was going to be crazy because, you know, got all females in one group, but it was really empowering. And we just got to really get a lot of things off our chest, challenge the process. A lot of people were encouraging each other's hearts. Like, it was a really good experience. And this is what we get to go through annually. So it's very invigorating.
Okay, when you go to places like Fort Jackson, do they have to salute you, the guys that's on or the young lady that's on active duty? Do they salute you when they walk past you?
Me myself or the first
Yes, ma'am.
No, sir. Yeah. Because I'm cadet. So when I go on to, like, when we go to JCLC, none of this exists. We're all the same.
Nobody
we're all
has
on the
rank.
same playing field. Everybody is a cadet. That's what I love about it, because you go down there, you start over. Let's see if you can, you know, build your way back up to where you are now. And it really tests your leadership within a week of time to see, like, okay, you know, do I still have it? Can I still get there? Can I still lead these people? It's awesome. Everybody's the same rank in the beginning, and at the end of it, you know, you get your card, says, hey, this is how you did, this is what you can improve on, and that's just what we do.
I guess the reason why I asked that question is when I was in ROTC, we used to go to like Fort Jackson. They used to have to salute us. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was a experience, because you see these younger guys and older guys, actually every time they walk past you, they got to salute you. You know, it's preparing you for that next level. So it's kind of like something that you got to get used to, being that you're going to eventually be an officer in the Army or Navy or wherever you're going to go.
Yeah.
I know from time to time when it came to saluting, I would sometimes avoid, because I just didn't want to do it wrong. You know, I saw the colonel coming out the classroom and be like, I don't want to do it wrong, you know. But eventually, we get used to doing that. And the colonel, the first sergeant, they definitely implement that. When they come into the classroom, you know, they call the classroom to attention or at ease, so that you know, okay, your senior officers walking in, or your non-commissioned officers coming in the classroom. So they definitely train us on that, to your military courtesies and customs.
First Sergeant, when you when the parents come to your school and when they talk to you, how do they really respond to you about how they see their child changing because of yourself and Colonel Owens and the rest of the...
Yeah, that's a really great question, because it's about every other day. Believe it or not, we get telephone calls from parents. Now, let's be straight. Some of them not
Correct.
always the telephone calls that we want. But for the most part, once we start really talking to these parents, they always seems to talk about the changes that they are seeing in their young man or their young lady that is a part of our JROTC program. I do believe that when those young kids come to us, that we do make a significant impact in their lives. So the parents do begin to see changes at home. Little changes like learning to control their emotions, which we talk about. So when mom tell you to wash those dishes, you know, you're not using all that body language, or you're not quick to, oh, I don't, you know. So just little kids keeping their rooms clean. You know, the importance of cleanliness. First impression is last. Just little things that we don't think that we're making a difference in them.
Correct.
But when you talk to parents, you know, it's like, wow, really? Wow, yeah. These kids are changing. They're changing, and they're changing for the better. And that's what I love about my job, as I said earlier. Every day you get to make an impact. You get to make those little small impacts that eventually changes these young men and women into great young people who one day will move out in the world and help the world be a better place. I truly believe that.
Correct. Cadet Blackwell, where do you see yourself at 5 years from now?
There's just one song that I really like, and it's by Anderson .Paak, and he's always like, everybody's always wondered about, tomorrow. I'm wondering about tonight. What am I doing right now? And I think it is very important to plan in the future. But I don't know why, but I always just really pounded on, okay, what am I going to do in like the next couple of hours, so that I can be successful tomorrow. Whenever I go to bed at night, I'm always looking like, okay, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? What am I going to, so I can figure out how am I going to. And when I look at, okay, where could I be in the next 5 years, me being as indecisive as I am from time to time, and I think I made this word up, multifaceted. I just love doing multiple things, but I know one thing that I really want to do is just be able to impact people in a good way. I know that after high school, I'm definitely going to the military, because I need that structure in my life. I need that leadership, that diligence. That's just everything that I need is in the military. And it's not for everybody, but I know it's definitely for me. And so that's something that I'm definitely going to do. And, hopefully I just continue to do that and impact a lot of lives in the process. So just being able to impact people, and while doing that, growing myself, growing others.
Okay, I think we're running short on time. If someone wanted to get in contact with yourself, First Sergeant, on the program, how would they go about doing that?
Well, if they would like to get in contact with myself, my number is 910-833-4279, and my email is larryl.dennis@cms.k12.nc.us.
First Sergeant Dennis, Battalion Commander Blackwell, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for telling the audience a lot about the JROTC program, and I hope you can come back and tell us some more things.